Welcome to the Selling to Corporate podcast, where we're going to be challenging your sales beliefs around selling to corporate organizations and help you increase your bottom line profits every single month. I am Jessica Lorimer, your sales expert and guide in this world of selling to corporate companies, skyrocketing your company sales and making the impact that you really want in the world. Now, don't forget, if you do enjoy the show today, please do head over to iTunes and leave us a review. But enjoy this episode, and I am really looking forward to sharing some epic sales wisdom with you. Happy 2024. And honestly, it feels like a long time since I've been behind the microphone and said a different date. So to those of you joining me in 2024, for those of you who came along from 2023, and for those of you who are brand new, welcome. It is a new year. I feel like we have new sales energy, which is very woo for me, because the closest thing I get to talking about energy or anything vaguely spiritual is apparently about the new sales energy of 2024. But I don't know about you, it feels different. Finally, I said a lot last year that 2023 really felt like the hangover from the pandemic, and 2024 actually feels like we're starting to move past it. And I am so grateful for that. As somebody who has a mind that works a million miles a minute, I'm just tired of thinking about the events of 2020. So I'm ready to move on. I've got lots of energy for 2024 and I feel very well rested. For those of you who don't know, I spent 3.5 weeks in New Zealand over Christmas. It was just great. That sounds like such a trite way to explain it, but it was great. I mean, if you've ever been to New Zealand or you're one of our epic New Zealand listeners, then you'll know what I mean by just sort of turning up at Christchurch Airport, driving out of it and being like, oh my God, there's like mountains everywhere and the sky is huge and you can go in the sea and there are no crisp packets. I don't know what's going on with New Zealand, but you guys have a clean environment and I'm here for it. Fun. I spent 3.5 weeks in New Zealand relaxing, and I didn't actually take my laptop on the trip, which was really a new thing for me. Usually I completely decompress during the holidays, but I take my laptop almost like a safety net. And I don't know if anyone else has this, but I sort of think, oh God, but what if there's an emergency? Also, I work in sales. What kind of emergency is going to happen? You know, I'm not landing the new NASA rocket ship. Obviously, I don't know anything about aerospace there, evidenced, but you get where I'm going. So this year was the first year that I didn't take my laptop on holiday with me. And I thought to myself, emergencies be damned. But not quite like that. Obviously, I made sure that I checked in with my clients beforehand, finished up all my work in a responsible fashion. But then I just let it go and it was glorious. So that is the energy with which I'm walking into 2024. And I'm really excited for you to join me, because this year I'm changing things up a little bit. Not with my offerings, just to clarify, the C-suite is running like a dream. Our November joiners have been experiencing some incredible results, including their first sales, booking business development calls, setting themselves up with 5 to 8 calls booked in January already, even though they hadn't started January when I started recording this episode. Yeah, it's been amazing. And if you are somebody who wants to have the best B2B sales year of your life and you're not in the C-suite yet, you should definitely jump it, because there will be some changes coming that are really, really awesome. But as ever, I will let you know about those as and when they are happening. So for now, all I will say is that I'm walking into 2024, new sales energy. There are some new changes coming, but the C-suite is still phenomenal. And so if you haven't joined it yet, you definitely should. Okay. So today's episode is a quick one. And it's a quick one for a couple of reasons. One is it's January. I feel like everyone's dog walks are still short because A, that's most of the time where I join you guys. And B, it's still cold. I am probably not loving after a return from 26, 27 degree heat, but I will make it work. So it's short for the reason I think you guys will be time crunched. January usually is. And also because I have very specific things to say on this particular topic, which of course is what to do if you are considering selling to corporate clients this year. Now, every year I hear from really well-intentioned people, and I'm going to say it, like it is well-intentioned. I have no problem with people who set a goal at the beginning of the year and don't achieve it. Let's just kind of get that weird elephant in the room out of the way. Last year, I set myself a whole bunch of goals, mostly fitness related, that I did not achieve. Some of that was due to almost dying with that whole digestive system shutting down issue thing. And some of it was just laziness. So I completely get it. And I'm not acting, as Owen would say, anyone. Every year I do see people who are super well intentioned and they'll say, this is the year that I take on corporate clients, or this is the year that I have my best sales year ever, or this is the year that I cross the 100K threshold or start paying VAT or whatever that looks like. Those people are super well intentioned and they feel like they have a plan because they have created a vision board. They have got their revenue all charted out. They know what they want to earn each quarter. They've got their coffee machine in the side of their office. All right, that might just be me. But they're ready, right? They feel mentally strong, resilient, rested, good to go. And then I see those same people in June and I'm like, how is it going? I'm so excited for you. Like, what corporate clients have you been working with? Has it been amazing and fun? And they look at me and they're like, yeah. And everyone has the same like disappointed in themselves look. And they'll be like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, Jess. Like, I just didn't get around to it. Or it just didn't happen in the first half of this year because I was really busy with trying to sell my one-to-one coaching services, or I had loads to do on social media and it just kind of slipped me by, or I realized that I didn't have a clear plan. And so that set me back a bit. But they go into the second half of the year and they still feel like they want to get corporate clients. They're starting to feel like they failed. And that isn't the case. Okay. When I was thinking about this episode today, I was like, yeah, like I am with you. If you are somebody who has woken up on the right side of bed in 2024 and you're raring to go, I'm excited for you. And when it gets to June, regardless of how your goals have gone, I'll still be excited for you. You might not feel that way if you go into 2024 with a clear goal to have more corporate clients and then you don't hit it. So let's talk about realistically what you need to do if you were going to be selling to corporate clients this year, or even if you've been selling to corporate clients and you just want to sell more. The first thing is you need to factor in specific B2B sales time. And what I mean by that is specific time in your calendar that you do not move to create new stuff for existing clients, or write your latest lead magnet, or I don't know, go through your inbox and delete all of the 1,500 subscribers or lists that you've been subscribed to over Christmas and didn't realize. Time that you actually spend building your B2B side of your business. Because it sounds really obvious when I say it, and I know that I use this phrase a lot, but it's not going to happen by osmosis, right? You listening to this podcast, best will in the world, and I'm very grateful that you do, but not doing anything about it isn't going to build your B2B revenue stream. Instead, what is going to build your B2B revenue stream is taking a couple of hours a week to really focus on B2B specific sales activities. What are you doing to generate leads in the B2B side of your business? What sales calls have you already booked, or how many do you need to book? Have you written all the proposals that you need to do? I'm going to caveat this very quickly and very succinctly here. I do not mean, have you planned out your offers? And in 2024, I'm going to be very bold and say the same thing that I did in 2023, 2022, 2021. You can see where this is going. You do not need to plan your offers before you start selling to corporates. And in fact, you shouldn't. I'm just not going to sit on the fence anymore about this. I'm tired of seeing it. It's a legacy from people who are teaching the B2C methods. And it works B2C because you have to prescribe solutions to individuals. You have to create generic solutions if you're selling group programs. You have to create solutions that are listed out on a sales page that are going to appeal to the masses. I'm tired of seeing people waste loads and loads of time creating offers that they get really excited about, but then cannot sell. Okay? It doesn't work the same B2B. So now that I've ranted about that for a little bit, just to be clear, you must spend time, dedicated time on your B2B sales activity this year. That's what's going to start moving the needle for you. Because remember, the stuff that you do now will impact you in 3 months' time, whether that's positively or negatively. And you get to choose. So if you do the work now, if you create the time, if you spend that time wisely on generating leads, on doing your clarity work, on understanding the transformation you offer, looking at your database and actually contacting people and sending outreach messages and all that kind of thing, you are going to make sales in 90 days. Obviously, if you do it all correctly, etc. But that's the positive upward trend. If you sit here today and you listen to this episode, you go, yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to put the time in my diary. And then that time becomes, oh, well, I just don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm maybe going to scroll Instagram for a bit, or maybe I'm going to write a blog, or maybe I'm going to open that up to a one-to-one client to use because I don't see the point in booking out this time when I don't really know what I'm doing with it. That's also going to impact you in 3 months' time. And I don't need to tell you how that will pan out. The second thing is building from that. It's about being clear and intentional with your plan. I'm going to say this out loud. I have ADHD and autism because, overachiever. And what that means is that there are many ideas swimming around in my head at any one time. And there are days where I'm like, oh my God, I should set up a plumbing business. You joke, but last year I had a whole experience with one of the rental properties I bought, and I'll tell you about it another time. But it got to the point where I was like, I should just have a plumbing business because there are no good plumbers that turn up on time, and I could make bazillions. And, for a while I looked into it. I was like, oh, could I get forces veterans to do it and provide them a van and da-da-da-da-da. And then, you know what I did? I said to myself, Jeff, this is a rabbit hole. And although interesting and exciting and new, it's actually not going to help you with your sales goals or any of your other goals for that matter. I know that that's simplistic, and I know that there are people who really struggle to do that. It's very, very difficult to hit your goals, even if you have the best plan in the world, if you don't execute the plan. Most people have great plans, but they're so complicated that they just don't stick to them. They do loads of things. In week 1 of January, they're like, yeah, well, I've got 15 calls, but I've also got to do 2 hours of lead generation for the corporate side of my business, post out 5 Instagram reels. Then I've got to go and do a LinkedIn live and start recording podcast episodes and blah, de blah, de blah, de blah. It's complex. It's difficult, and it overwhelms your brain immediately. So this year, I just want you to take a second to remind yourself post-festive season about your main goals. What is your main business goal? What is your main revenue goal? What is your main learning and development goal? What's your main visibility goal? And what's your main personal goal? When we start to look at what the priorities are, it's interesting how our actions change. And I would urge you, I sit down once a month and I look at what am I doing and how is that helping me progress my goals? And that really helps my squirrel brain to process things and be like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff and spending a load of hours on building out this great slide deck or whatever. But actually, it's not helping me meet one of my main priority goals. So should I be doing that? Be clear and intentional about your plan for 2024. It's going to make your life a lot easier. The next thing I'm going to say, and actually this is the penultimate point, but it's to pick one method of lead generation for your first 90 days in 2024 that actually ties to your skills, your personality, the time you have available and the resources available to you. And I say this because I teach 9 different methods of lead generation for B2B sales activity. My favorite, or I have 2 favorites that I use all the time. One is cold emailing and one is cold calling. I love both. And I know that there will be some of you who are so repulsed by the fact that I like cold calling that your earbuds will have just hopped out of your ears because everyone hates cold calling, right? Except me. I love it. I thrive on uncomfortable conversations. For some of my clients, networking. Networking is an awesome way to generate leads. And for others, it's speaking for leads. For some of them, it's about hosting executive breakfasts. There are tons and tons of ways to do it. The problem is all of them involve a process. So whether you're using LinkedIn, whether you're using cold email, whether you're cold calling, it doesn't matter because there is work to do before you just send the email or hop on the phone or attend the event. And there's work to do afterwards in the follow-up. When you're trying to do 2 or 3 different types of lead generation, it doesn't work out as well as you'd expected because you spread yourself too thin. So if you're thinking about getting corporate clients or more corporate clients for 2024, of course, you will need more leads. But you need to focus that in the right way. So just for these first 90 days, give yourself a break. Pick one method of lead generation. Do it really, really well. And then at the end of the 90 days, you can spend your time, energy, and money that you've made from sales on doing it slightly differently. Outsourcing bits of it if you want to. Which brings me on to my final point. One of the things that I see in people who are well-intentioned about wanting to get new corporate clients is a lack of confidence. And that is completely normal and natural. After all, you're not a professionally trained salesperson. So it's not like you're going to be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be so good at this. I should do all of these things because I'm going to be amazing. However, that lack of confidence can really get you preyed on by other people who are great at sales and not necessarily good at delivery. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking about outsourcing. Okay. Over the last couple of years, there's been a huge boom in people being like, hey, look, I can help you with this thing that you can sell to corporate clients. And what I mean by that is primarily salespeople will be like, hey, I can, instead of you bothering to learn anything about a consultative B2B sales process, I'm just going to come along, be a salesperson, work on maybe a commission-only basis and do it for you. And that, to somebody who isn't confident about the sales process, sounds phenomenal, right? It does sound phenomenal. And like my mum would have said when I was a child, also when I was an adult, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Outsourcing your sales process when you know nothing about it is very dangerous because you're hiring people whose whole talent it is to sell themselves. Does selling themselves to you mean that they will be good at selling your products and services? Absolutely not. Does it mean they'll be a specialist in new business development, which is what we talk about when we're getting new corporate clients? Absolutely not. There are different personality types of sales. And believe me, this is something I work with corporate clients on a lot. Sometimes we hire people for the wrong sales role. Does it also mean that they will be easy to manage? Absolutely not. Salespeople are notoriously difficult to manage because they have big opinions. They've got big ideas on what they are doing, why something works, why something doesn't. And does it mean that they will adequately represent your brand and spend the amount of time needed on just your brand and not other people's to build your revenue to what you want it to be? Sadly, absolutely not. Now, does this mean you should never hire salespeople? Of course not. But what you should do is have a good understanding of your B2B sales process before you start hiring salespeople. And there's a reason for that. It's so that you can understand what the metrics are in your own business, so that you can understand what the commonalities are, so that you can understand what kind of services actually sell best for you to make it easier to train a salesperson to understand the buying indicators, to understand how to sell something in the way that you want it sold. So they're not just being like, yeah, sure, they could definitely deliver that leadership program and it's going to be 50 grand. And yeah, they'll be on call all the time, including Saturdays. Just drop them a WhatsApp. And you might be listening to that thinking, oh my God, and laughing. But that's true. I've heard of people do that. They're like, yeah, cool. I've made the sale. Why aren't you smiling? Oh, you're going to be working every day until you die. So don't outsource things that you haven't understood yet. Okay. And that goes for everything. It goes for hiring a salesperson at the beginning of January when you don't really know what your metrics are or how to target them or have any resources that you can give them to make their job easier and get them making you results quicker. And it's the same for any other thing in your business. If you don't understand it, don't outsource it. And especially not just because that person's like, yeah, I used to work in corporate, so I can definitely do this. Or, oh yeah, I've seen people who've worked with corporate and I can definitely do that. Make sure that if you're going to outsource any area of your business, you are hiring the right people for it. And usually that happens after you've understood a little bit about your own sales process when it comes to B2B sales, or your own writing style when it comes to copywriting, or your own marketing ROI and the things that are of interest to your audience if it's in the marketing and comm space. It doesn't matter what space it's in, but don't be tempted to hit 2024 hard and assume that that just happens by outsourcing, because it doesn't. It can really be an expensive and painful mistake. Okay. So hopefully that episode has not put you off in 2024 like an absolute sales pro. And you are feeling raring to go on it. And if you are raring to go and you need additional support, you know where I am. We have the C-suite. It is open. You can absolutely grab it and smash your first 90 days and beyond of B2B sales in 2024. We've actually got, really excitingly, our first in-person meetup of the year for the C-suite only on January the 29th, where I will be running an in-person BD session, which will be awesome. So that's going to be on January the 29th in London. So if you buy now, you will get to attend that as well. All right. I will see you in upcoming episodes this year. Please do me a favor. Remember to subscribe, because it's going to be an epic year with some epic insights, trends, and techniques from me that you can apply immediately to your B2B business. See you soon.